What's going on, YouTube? Thanks so much for watching. My name is Matt. My company's called the DeRosa Group, and we have this new series called DeRosa Success Stories. And the way DeRosa Success Stories works is if you have learned something from my book, Raising Private Capital, or from this YouTube channel, or from me if you met me at an event, or anything, or from the stuff I put in Bigger Pockets, whatever it may be, if you've learned something that you've applied in your business and created success, I want to hear about it because I want to celebrate the success with you and talk about what's coming up next for you. So this DeRosa Success Stories works like this. If you've had any of the stories, email it to success@derosagroup.com. That is success@derosagroup.com. And you may even earn a spot to be right here on the YouTube channel. If you get a good enough story, we'll have you right here on the channel and everybody can hear what you're up to. So today's guest on DeRosa Success Stories is a friend of mine. I can call him a friend now because we've hung out a few times and he helped me out a lot at the Bigger Pockets conference. And that is my good friend, Evan Holliday. Thank you so much, Evan, for being here.
Yes, man. I love it. I love the energy. I'm glad to be here.
Cool. So the reason I'm inspired to have this conversation is a lot of people watching are likely at some point aspiring to quit their job. And what I know about your story, and I'll get you to tell the story, but what I know about it is you had a job in corporate and also in corporate real estate, but quit that job to go and start your own company. Give us a little more on that. What you were doing and what you're doing now. Tell us more of that, and then we'll get into the tools that you're using to make it happen.
Yeah. So back up even before that job, I really kind of fell into real estate a roundabout way. I was going into pre-med in college and realized I hated science. I hated chemistry. I wanted to get into actually having an impact, but not with that direction. And I saw this $55 million development going in on campus. I was like, yes, that is calling my name. I don't know what it is, but I love that. And basically convinced the owner of the project, the developer, to give me a job. I got a few hundred people out to the groundbreaking and convinced them to be basically his first hire at the project. And so really
this guy's job site and said, I am your guy. I want to, yeah. Okay.
It was a roundabout way. I actually through a mutual connection found a relationship to him, but I knew I wanted to be involved with it. I just didn't know how. And that person introduced me, and the owner's like, I'm not just going to hire you. You got to prove yourself. So that's when we got all the people to the groundbreaking and really learned, kind of cut my teeth there, learned a lot about real estate, started a modular development company in college. We built a few single family houses out of that. We're trying to scale it to multifamily, knowing we could have a bigger economies of scale. And that's when I found, I was looking really for partners, and I ended up finding a group that wanted to hire me and bring me on as a development director, and where I would be sourcing deals. And I said, you know what, this is an opportunity where I can learn from somebody. I can grow with them. I can really get my hands dirty and learn on their dollar and just build up my experience with people that are already, light years ahead of me and where I want to be. And so really partnered with them, learned with them for 6 years, sourced over 1,300 units of multifamily, new construction, mainly focusing in on the niche of workforce and affordable housing.
Yeah.
So we use tax credits, tax abatements, public-private partnerships. And it really kind of, for me, was that impact, real estate with impact, was really important for me. And really within the last year, I was like, you know what, I can go so much bigger than this. I can have a bigger impact. I can help more people. I can live the life on my terms. And so that's really where it boiled down to, okay, how do I step out and do this on my own and go full on with Holladay Ventures? So just a few months ago, we went full time and have already, filled up our pipeline for this year. And really in development, you're filling out for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So, that's what we're working on now. And so, what we're talking about today is very relevant with raising private capital because I'm at an early growth stage. We are in an early growth stage with our company, building out operations, building out our team, building out our pipeline. It takes a lot of investment on the early end, and really, the timing of reading your book and the things that I learned as far as, communication, as far as building relationships, building rapport, building a thought leadership platform. Those are all things that both helped me leave my company and then also are now helping me scale that up as quickly as possible.
Cool. That's great. That's great. So really inspiring story. A lot to unpack that I think a few lessons that people can learn there, right? Number one is that you were tenacious and you had the courage to go and knock on somebody's door to say, hey, listen, you should hire me. I think that life's not going to bring you success. You got to reach out and get it in most cases. Some ways you can be born into it or you can get lucky, but most likely if you want success, you got to reach out and take it. And so you saw what you wanted and you reached out and took it. And I commend you for that. The other things that I heard is that you were doing really well working, making this company you're working for, probably making a lot of money. I get that a lot of the subsidized housing world is fees and not so much cash flow. It's more like developers' fees and that kind of thing. But you were making them, I'm sure, a lot by building what you said to be thousands of units for them, which is, in some ways a great career. But you weren't looking for that. You wanted to build wealth for yourself and not a career, which I love. And so you had the courage to pull off and do your own thing. And I know you had told me before that a lot of what I put in Raising Private Capital about investor relations and how to relate to people and everything like that were lessons you brought into your business. Do you want to highlight any more of those things?
Yeah, really. We touched on like the communication. The communication is so key, especially when you're dealing with other people's money, because they want to know that you're being diligent. You're not putting their money at undue risk, that you're actually doing what you say you're going to do, and that you're going to follow through and you're going to keep them in the loop as you move forward. And it also helps them know that you're keeping yourself accountable. And so that really, there was a line you said, really probably most everybody under communicates. And that resonated with me personally, because I, as far as emailing and keeping up with people, I've developed a lot of relationships, which is great, but it also can be overwhelming at times. And so reading that as far as how important and key communication is, as far as like actually building that rapport with investors, building good relationships with them, and then keeping that up over time and how important that is to raising private capital, that really kind of struck a chord with me. And after reading that, I was like, man, I really need to, put systems in place. So we now have, we have VAs that are helping us build out the investor database, keeping track of everyone, doing monthly, weekly email updates for the podcast, for different projects we're working on, things that are in the pipeline. Just really trying to be proactive about it, because I know that communication in certain avenues like email has never been a strong suit for me. So, reading that, I was like, yes, that is me. Unfortunately, that is me. But what can I do to like fix that and actually take action on that to keep good relationships?
Yeah. There are things that we're great at and things we're not great at. And it's good to recognize that, okay, this person is really great at follow through or really great at this or really great at running numbers. And so they should be doing that. And I should be doing more of the sales or whatever it is your core strengths are. That said, there are also just good habits that we can install that are not necessarily just character traits that people have. These are just good things to do. You can't say, I'm not a morning person and I don't wake up early in the morning because that's just in my DNA. No,
right.
It's better at night, but getting up early in the morning is a habit. That's what it is. And keeping up good investor communications is a habit. And I think that that's great that you're looking to do better habits. It's actually not in my habit structure to be diligent about follow up with people and about sending out regular communications. That's not my wiring, but I get that it benefits my investors to do it. So I have instilled that habit. And it's good to understand the difference between habits and just core strengths. That you can instill habits that benefit people even if it's not in your core. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that.
Cool. Great. So, how do I've been on your awesome podcast that you have, which thank you for having me there, and I will hopefully can join you on that again soon.
Yes.
How do people check out your podcast? How do people learn more about what Evan Holliday is up to, and to reach out to you? They can hear more about you.
Yes, and this also plays into what you had in the book of creating that thought leadership platform. Our podcast called Monumental We go into multifamily and mindset, and really that has helped in raising capital and creating relationships like that. But really any platform, any place where people listen to podcasts, YouTube as well. And then also our website, evanholliday.com, and our real estate investing company, Holladay Ventures.
Cool. Great. I highly recommend people check out your podcast, which you might have broken up. It's called Monumental.
Yes. Monumental Podcast.
Monumental Podcast. Cannot forget that name, guys. Check it out. Who are some big names besides, again, me, other people, who are some other names you've interviewed?
Yes. So obviously Matt Faircloth,
Yeah.
Elena Cardone, David Meltzer, Gino Barbaro, Kathy and Rich Fetke, really just some top name guests, across real estate, entrepreneurship, and really just visionaries that are making monumental, massive change in the world.
Great. A lot of big names there. I'm sure you got more on the way as well. Everybody, keep an eye on Evan Holliday. I think Evan Holliday is just getting going, so let's all keep an eye on Evan Holliday, see what he's up to.
Yes,
I really
love it.
am looking forward to seeing what's next for you, and I really am excited to see what you're building and bear witness. And I'm glad that our paths crossed. A brief story about how our paths crossed, and this is another quick story, another quick tip for you guys. Evan Holliday just went on Instagram and took a picture of himself holding my book and saying, "Hey, I just read this book." And you know what? It's flattering to do that. If you got a book out there as an author, we're not untouchable. It gets to it. I saw that and I'm like, that's awesome. He promoted my book. And so I wrote him a Facebook comment saying, "Hey, yeah, thanks for doing that, by the way. I appreciate you." And so he reached back out and said, "Well, hey, would you be open to go on my podcast?" And we just engaged that way. But I think that if it's one of those concepts about leading in to, if you're looking to connect with somebody that you want to build a relationship with, suppose Evan wanted to build one with me, that he just did something that benefited me first. He promoted my book to his very large Facebook community, I was very grateful to see that. And I was happy to do, once he had done that for me, I was very happy to, what do you need? Are you going to go to a podcast? Sure, let's have a conversation. Before you know it, he and I are building a relationship. And I think it's one of those great tips that you guys should remember, that if you want to get close to somebody, it's one thing to just call them up and say, "Hey, let me take you out for coffee. Can I buy you dinner? Can I pick your brain?" As opposed to what Evan did, which was, how can I help this person out? What's a way that I can serve them, benefit them? And then do that thing, and they'll see it. And if they're generous people, like most of us are, they'll say, "Hey, listen, he did something really awesome for me. How can I help that person?" That was my immediate response was, "That's awesome. How do I help him?" So I commend you for that. It didn't go unnoticed that you had done that, and I thought that was really cool. And so I wanted to put that out there as a tip for those watching.
Yes, I appreciate that, Matt. And honestly, that's true. I mean, add value first, and it's amazing what'll reciprocate.
Yeah, add value first, and people see that you're willing to add value. You're not a taker. You're a maker, not a taker. And if you're willing to be a maker, like a relationship maker, then people will see that. So cool. Keep an eye on Evan Holliday, guys. All his contact info, and he said it here, but all his contact info is also in the notes in the description of this. So please keep up with Evan if you want to make contact and hear more about what he is up to. Don't forget, success@DeRosaGroup.com. If you guys have the success story you'd like to share, we'd love to hear about it. Success@DeRosaGroup.com. And we'll even consider having you right here on the YouTube channel to put your story out to everybody. So cool. Evan, thank you.
Yes.
That's here on DeRosa Success Stories. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great, profitable week.